Everyone thinks procrastination is about laziness, that it's a simple lack of discipline, a weakness of will. But what if I told you procrastination isn't about time at all? It's about pain, because people don't delay tasks just because they're lazy. They delay them because those tasks trigger something deeper: fear, shame, perfectionism, the quiet whisper that says, "What if I'm not good enough?" You see, behind every "I'll do it tomorrow," there's a mind quietly trying to protect itself. And that's the mystery most people never see, that procrastination isn't a time management issue. It's an emotion management issue. So let's talk about something most people never truly understand. If you've ever stared at a blank screen or watched hours pass while you scroll endlessly through your phone, you already know the strange pain of procrastination. It's not peace. It's not rest. It's a mental tug-of-war between wanting to act and feeling unable to move. Psychologists call this cognitive dissonance. It's the tension that arises when your actions and your intentions don't match. You want to do something, finish that project, send that email, clean that room, but your brain refuses to cooperate. You sit there, feeling guilty for not doing it and anxious at the thought of starting it. It's a silent paralysis, a storm inside your head that no one else can see. But here's the twist: your brain isn't betraying you, it's protecting you. When we procrastinate, it's usually because a task has become emotionally threatening. It might expose our flaws, trigger rejection, or force us to confront failure. So instead of facing that discomfort, the brain chooses escape. It distracts, it delays, it convinces you that you'll feel ready later, but later rarely comes. Let's talk about what's really happening inside the brain. When you face something uncomfortable like starting a project that feels too big or uncertain, your amygdala lights up. That's the part of your brain responsible for detecting threat. To your mind, failure is danger, criticism is danger, uncertainty is danger. So your brain triggers the same stress response it would if you were being chased by something. But since you can't run from a spreadsheet or an essay, you run into distraction instead. You reach for your phone, you open YouTube, you decide to clean your room suddenly. The laundry feels urgent. And here's the dark trick: every time you avoid a task, you feel temporary relief. Your brain releases a small dose of dopamine, the feel-good chemical. That little rush of comfort rewards the avoidance, reinforcing the habit. It's a psychological loop. Task, stress, avoidance, relief, repeat. The more you do it, the more your brain learns that procrastination equals safety. That's why people don't just procrastinate once. They build an identity around it. I'm just not motivated. I work best under pressure. I'll start when I feel inspired. But what they're really saying is, I'm scared to start because starting means facing myself. Let's go deeper. Why do some people procrastinate chronically, even when they know it's destroying them? The answer often lies in childhood. Maybe you grew up in an environment where love and approval were tied to achievement. Maybe you learned early that being perfect was the only way to be accepted. So now, when you face something new, a task, a goal, a challenge, your inner critic wakes up. It whispers, what if it's not good enough? What if you fail? What if you try and people see you're not as capable as they think? And so, you freeze. Because as long as you don't start, you can't fail. And as long as you don't fail, you can keep the illusion that you could have succeeded if only you tried. It's a psychological defense mechanism, avoiding action to avoid pain. That's why procrastination isn't about laziness. It's about fear disguised as comfort. It's about protection that slowly turns into prison. We often say, I'll do it when I feel motivated. But here's the truth. Motivation doesn't come before action. It comes after. When you move, your brain shifts. When you begin, the fog starts to clear. Waiting to feel ready is like waiting for calm seas before learning to swim. You'll wait forever. Procrastination thrives on this waiting. It feeds on the illusion that the right moment will eventually come, that one day you'll wake up full of energy and clarity. But real change doesn't happen in those bursts of inspiration. It happens in quiet, imperfect beginnings, starting before you're ready, acting even while afraid, doing a little even when it feels meaningless. Because every small step is a message to your brain that says, I am capable, I can handle discomfort, and that's how you break the spell. Think of someone like Cassie. She's intelligent, creative, ambitious, but her dreams never leave her notebook. She wants to start a business, write a book, travel, But every time she tries to start, she tells herself, "Not now, I need to plan more." She's always preparing, researching, tweaking, but never executing. Weeks turn into months, months into years, and she tells herself the same comforting lie. "I'm not procrastinating, I'm just being careful." But deep down, she knows the truth. She's scared that if she actually begins, she might discover she's not as good as she hoped. Cassie isn't lazy, she's haunted by her own standards. And that's the dark psychology of procrastination. It convinces you that you're playing it safe, when really, you're just surrendering to fear. Many chronic procrastinators are perfectionists in disguise. They don't avoid work because they don't care. They avoid it because they care too much. They want every detail to be flawless, every idea to be brilliant, every outcome to be certain. But life doesn't give us that kind of certainty, so they wait endlessly. In psychology, this is called analysis paralysis. The fear of imperfection becomes so overwhelming that it prevents any progress. Ironically, perfectionism, the desire to do something perfectly, ends up guaranteeing failure because nothing ever gets done. And here's the painful truth. Procrastination isn't protecting your standards. It's protecting your ego. Because if you never start, your potential remains perfect in your imagination. But once you act, you risk proving that you're imperfect, just like everyone else. And that's what most people are really afraid of. Not failure, but proof of it. There's a cruel loop that procrastinators know too well. First comes the delay, then comes the guilt, then panic and a desperate burst of last-minute energy. They rush to finish, often performing well enough to scrape by. And that temporary success sends a dangerous message to the brain. See, you work best under pressure, but it's a lie. Because what really happened is that your brain flooded with stress hormones, adrenaline and cortisol, forcing survival mode productivity. You didn't work better, you worked in fear, and that success doesn't heal the pattern, it reinforces it. Next time, your brain will remember the same formula. Delay, panic, produce, repeat, until eventually, you're addicted to that stress, mistaking chaos for creativity. Procrastination doesn't just steal your time, it steals your peace. Every unfinished task lingers in your subconscious, like background noise. It drains your energy, even when you're not thinking about it. You feel restless when you rest, guilty when you relax, and anxious when you think about starting. That's the emotional cost people rarely talk about. Living in a constant state of low-grade tension, always behind, always apologizing to yourself. And the saddest part? You start to lose trust in your own word. Every "I'll do it tomorrow" becomes a broken promise to yourself. Eventually, it's not just the task you avoid, it's the version of you that still believes you can do better. So how do you break the cycle? First, with compassion, not shame. You can't hate yourself into change. You can only understand yourself into action. Recognize that procrastination isn't proof of failure, it's a signal, a sign that your brain is overwhelmed, afraid, or uncertain. Start small, lower the bar. Instead of saying, "I'll write a book," say, "I'll write one paragraph." Instead of "I'll clean the house," say, "I'll clean the desk." Because progress doesn't come from doing everything. It comes from doing something. Action breaks anxiety. Movement builds momentum. And consistency, not intensity, rewires the brain. Remember, the moment you start, your brain releases dopamine, the same chemical that used to reward avoidance. But now it begins to reward action instead. That's how you flip the pattern. If this message spoke to you, if you've felt that quiet war between your will and your fear, then this is your reminder. You are not broken. You are not lazy. You are simply human. Every time you procrastinate, you're not failing. You're protecting yourself in the only way your mind knows how. But protection can't be your purpose forever. Start small today. Do one uncomfortable thing. Not because you feel ready, but because you're tired of waiting for a version of yourself that doesn't exist yet. This right now is where change begins. So breathe. Forgive the time you've lost, and reclaim the time you still have. Because procrastination is not the end of discipline. It's the beginning of understanding. This was The Dark Psychology of People Who Can't Stop Procrastinating. If this video helped you see yourself a little clearer, leave a comment, share it with someone you care about, and remember, change doesn't happen when you feel ready. It happens when you finally decide to begin.